Fluent. He's chill. This is Fluent and chill, but you already know. Jay, what's up? How you doing, man?
Hey, man. Playoffs, baby. Playoffs, Tone. Playoffs. That's really all I got to say right now. The playoffs, Tone. Let's do it.
This is really what matters in the NBA. Like, we always compare regular season stats, and I feel like we should be comparing playoff stats. Like, I don't care what your points per game were in the regular season because you went up against the Kings 5 times. Yeah, you better average a few more points if you're going up against the Kings. You went up against, I don't even know, I don't want to pick any teams because they're all professional teams, but there's some teams that just play no defense. Well, I want to see how you play in the postseason when, let's be honest, things tighten up a little.
Yeah, they do.
Games slow down a little, it becomes harder to score. You're playing the same team 4 to 7 times in a row. And they're game planning for you. So it's a little bit harder to put up 30 every single night when they know what you're going to do. I'm just putting that out there into the universe. So of course we're going to talk a lot about playoffs. We've got one of the mail drop questions. We got to make our picks. We got a play-in tournament that we both hate, but we're going to make our picks for that. On Friday, we're going to make the rest of our first round pick selections. We're going to make you don't like the all NBA first team, second team, third team, the change that they did, allowing Embiid and Jokic to be forwards and centers because they're not. So we're going to make our own first, second, third team selections. But first, I'm really excited about this. I give Dominic a shout out because Dominic is one of our loyal listeners, viewers. I don't even know if he listens or watches. Either way, he took the time, which is crazy. I think is just fantastic. He took the time to go through every NBA franchise and put together his top 6, so starting 5 and a sub for every NBA franchise. So we've got, Thunder and Sonics are together as an example, Bobcats and Hornets, Pelicans, all the ones that have switched, he's put them together, right? So we've got 30 all-time teams. So there's 6 best players in his mind. Listen, you might argue 1 or 2 here or there, but I think for the most part, we've got it down. And what I did, I put them into a tournament, and we're going to do like an NCAA style tournament of all these and see which has the all-time greatest team. I will mention there's 30 teams. So there's the Lakers and the Celtics who have 17 titles. They're tied for the most in NBA history. They both get a bye in the East and the West. Every episode, we're going to do a new bracket. So we've got the East 1, East 2, West 1, West 2. And we're going to come down and find ourselves a winner. So with that being said, any opening thoughts? And then I'm going to jump into the rosters and we'll make our pick.
I think it's awesome, Tone, to pick the best players in the history of every organization and just basically put a tournament together to see who the best team is of all time. I mean, it's one thing to pick it's one thing to pick the best player, but to pick the best team, the best players from the best team of all time. And we've had so many great teams. Now, don't get me wrong. We already know who the Lakers and the Celtics are, but we've had a lot of teams that have had great players, and to just get those guys together and see who is the best team ever. That's awesome.
When you think of teams like the Warriors as an example, okay, you think recently you're like, oh, well, that's, Steph and KD, if you're putting together an all-time. You know who else played for the Warriors?
Chamberlain,
right? So unfortunately, we're never going to see these guys play together. We're never going to see these teams play each other. But guess what? Who better than you and I, with the history, as someone mentioned to me, I hate to say this, almost 100 years of experience, to go through these guys and see who wins. So we're starting in the East bracket. We're going to do East 1. So here are the 4 matchups. We got Sixers and Hawks, Raptors and Knicks, the Nets and the Heat, the Wizards / Bullets, and the Hornets. So let's start with the Sixers. I'll run you through the list. We got Maurice Cheeks, Julius, Dr. J. Irving, Charles Barkley. Let me pause there for a moment because I do have one more caveat. These players aren't necessarily at their prime, right? They're at the way they were when they played for that franchise. So keep that in mind. So I always use this example. We're not getting Orlando Shaq on the Cavs. as an example.
No.
You're getting Cavs Shaq on the Cavs. Not that you're putting him, but if you were. Okay. All right. So let me start again. So 76ers, we got Maurice Cheeks, Julius, Dr. J, Irving, Charles, the round mound of rebound, Barkley, Dolph Shays, Moses Malone. Oh, and as your sixth man, Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson. Yeah, we'll just bring him off the bench for some buckets.
So we're not putting Doug Collins in there. Doug Collins is not an all-time great Sixer. He's not. He's not.
Would you put Doug Collins over any of those guys?
I don't think I would. No, I'm not putting. And for the record, folks, just so you know, Wilt Chamberlain played for the Philadelphia Warriors, who became the San Francisco Warriors. That's not the Philadelphia 76ers.
Which became the Golden State Warriors.
Right, which became the Golden State Warriors. It's not the same thing. No, absolutely not.
It's not the city. It's the franchise. Correct.
Keep that in mind.
Yes. Good point. Yeah, because we're going to have some things with the Hornets, the Bobcats, that whole mess. Yeah, so keep that in mind. All right, so they're playing up against the Atlanta Hawks. Man, the first guy could actually probably coach the team too. I don't know if he'd coach them very well, but Doc Rivers, a name we don't hear enough about. And for those that are younger who haven't seen him play, go watch him. Mookie Blaylock, really nice player.
Think Marcus Smart, except more athletic. When you think of Mookie Blaylock,
that's a really good comparison. Dominique, the highlight reel, Wilkins, Bob Pettit. The Kimpe Mutombo.
Dicky.
Man.
Now, you and me had this conversation, Tone. Are we sure Lenny Wilkins is not an all-time great Hawk?
For me, I told you, I agreed with you. He shouldn't be in the top 75, so no. Yeah. Maybe he could coach the team. and look, I'm not knocking him. Like, the fact that he's in the conversation is amazing, but excuse me. And then we're going to find a lot of underrated guys we don't talk enough about.
Yeah.
Steve Smith coming off the bench.
Steve Smith coming off the bench for the Atlanta Hawks.
Steve Smith was nice.
He was super nice. Yes, he was. He was really good for the Atlanta Hawks. Yes, he was. They just kept running into the Bulls and the Knicks in the 90s. That was the problem with them. But I look at that Atlanta team. I don't know if Lenny Wilkins is the top 75 player, Tone, but he did make the All-Star team 9 times for them.
You want to put him on that? You want to put him on that team over who?
It's not that I want to put him, because I'm thinking about him and Mookie Blaylock. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm just thinking about a guy who made an All-Star team almost for a decade. That's difficult for me to overlook that. I'm not saying that he goes ahead of Mookie Blaylock, because Mookie Blaylock was an all-league defender for more than half a decade, and he made the All-Star team. So I don't think it's a wash, but it's not something that I should just completely overlook. That's all. That's all I'm thinking.
Well, we'll keep a asterisk for Lenny Wilkins.
We'll keep an asterisk for him.
But now you gotta pick. So in a 7-game series, you got Cheeks going up against Rivers. Not that they go head to head, but right. You got Irving and Blaylock. Can Blaylock, Wilkins and Barkley, I think would be a great matchup to watch.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then Moses Malone, underrated Moses Malone. With DeKimpe, like, would he be able to get all those rebounds with Mutombo up standing under the rim?
Yes, he would, because if I had to deal with, don't forget, before Mutombo, I had to deal with Jabbar. I had to deal with Lajuan. I had to deal with Ewing. I had to deal with those guys. So I think I can handle myself against DeKimpe Mutombo.
I think the X factor for me is Allen Iverson, because as good of a defender as Mookie Blaylock is, and as athletic as he was, do you think he could stay in front of AI? Maybe half of the time. I think of like 50-50.
Well, when I think about Mookie Blaylock, we're talking about a guy who was an all-league defender in the 90s, Tone, and he was running around when Stockton was running around. He was running around when Gary Payton was running around. He was running around when Tim Hardaway and all of those, and he was handling himself, right? So when you get to this level, you're not really stopping anybody, but I think that he could handle himself against Allen Iverson. I don't know if I'm putting I don't know if Allen Iverson's coming off the bench. I think he's better than Mo Cheeks.
Oh, you might be starting him. Yeah, you might be starting him.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm looking at the lineup. I'm actually starting Steve Smith because I don't want Bob Pettit and Mutombo on at the same time.
Nah, I like Bob Pettit and Mutombo on that front line.
I'd go with a smaller lineup. I'd have Doc, Mookie, Smith, Dominique at the power forward, and Mutombo.
Ah, okay. I see what you're going.
Because I'm going up against Moses, Barkley, and Dr. J, who can get up and down the court.
Okay.
Right? So I want to compete with them. But I could see, and the only reason I'd keep Iverson on the bench is because I think Cheeks will distribute the ball more than Iverson would to those guys.
So I'm thinking to myself.
Just think about Iverson. When you come
Right.
in, go nuts, just score.
That's exactly who he is. He's bucket. As soon as he comes in, so your lineup is you're going to go Doc Rivers, you're going to go Mookie Blaylock,
yeah.
You're going to go Doc, Mookie,
Steve Smith,
Dominique, Mutombo.
Yep, and then put it off the bench.
I got a little bit of a different lineup, but okay. Because I'm putting Steve Smith at the 2 and I'm putting Neek at the 3. I'm gonna put Bob Pettit at the 4 and I'm gonna put Mutombo at the 5.
Okay, so you're going with a big lineup.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Either way, who do you?
I just like Philly. I like Philly in this series, and the reason why I like Philly in this series because number one, even as the glass cleaner that Bob Pettit was, right? As the glass cleaner that he was, I think he'd have a really difficult time with Charles.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he would, and Charles wasn't that much smaller than him. I mean, Bob Pettit went 6'9", and Bob Pettit could absolutely score, and I think Charles would have a real difficult time with him too. But when I think about Charles in transition, when I think about Charles athletically, I think Bob Pettit would have a real difficult time with him, no doubt about that. And I think Moses Malone, I think that he would. I'm not gonna say have his way, but I think that he would handle Mutombo because I saw him handle Jabbar. I seen him handle guys. I think he would have his way with Mutombo. I think that they could beat Atlanta 6 games.
The interesting thing for me is that matchup is actually Moses Malone and Mutombo, because the one thing I know about Moses Malone that used to drive people crazy, but I kind of loved, is he was notorious for just getting the ball up off the backboard so that he can get the rebound and reposition himself and get better positioning. And the reason I bring that up is because so what? He's going to go up and get blocked. I could see him getting blocked 3 times in a row on the same possession and just using that as a way to reposition himself to get better positioning to score on Mutombo. Like he's not the type like we see today where you get blocked and you put your head down and you walk away. No, he'd get blocked, grab it back, go up, get blocked, go back, get blocked, go back. He would have that. He had that resiliency, which
that's his game.
That's his game.
That was his game. Sure.
I also will look at, and I'll try to say this the right way because it's going to start off star power. Meaning, hey, in the spotlight, are they going to be able to shine? Well, I got Dr. J and Charles Barkley and Allen Iverson and Moses Malone. None of those shied away from big moments, right? Heck, Allen Iverson took Mutombo and some others to the NBA final on his little, 6 foot, 150-pound back. He carried
and won a game and won a game
and had one of the most iconic moments in NBA Finals history, stepping over Tyronn Lue.
Yep.
So they're not going to shy away from the moment. When I look at the Hawks, nice players like your Rivers, Blaylock, Wilkins, obviously. I feel like this team has more, which is why they're seated the way that they are.
Yeah.
So I'm going with the Sixers. I think same with you. Sixers and 6. I think for me as well. So we agree on that one. So that's good. We don't have to worry about that. All right. The next one, I'm not going to lie. I might have a little Homer bias in this one. So try to keep me honest. Keep me honest.
Know who Tone is.
we got the Toronto Raptors. Your Toronto Raptors up against the New York Knickerbockers, who, just for the record, for those that don't know, let me just adjust this a little. For those that don't know, first NBA game in the history of basketball. 1, it was played in Toronto. 2, it was the Toronto then Huskies versus the New York Knickerbockers. So these teams, and if you think these teams have also made a lot of trades. Chris Childs to the Raptors came, Charles Oakley to the Raptors came from the Knicks. Their worst first overall pick, Andrea Bargnani, the only team that would trade for him, the New York Knicks took him off their hands. So this team has had a history of working.
Marcus Camby went from Toronto to the Knicks.
Yeah, Marcus Camby. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you got to remember that's the closest NBA franchise distance-wise, especially if you fly, is the Knicks. So we've got Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, Vince Carter, Chris Bosh, Jonas Valanciunas, Doug Christie coming off the bench, which I really like. The people forget Doug Christie, and people are going to say, "Well, hold on, Hakeem Olajuwon played for the Raptors. That wasn't the same guy."
That's Cleveland. That's Shaq in Cleveland. That's what Olajuwon was.
Yeah, exactly. Even Marc Gasol during that championship year was there. Kawhi Leonard, the reason he's not on this team, obviously he's going to be a Spur because obviously played a lot more time as the Spurs, only one season with the Raptors. So when you look at this line and say, how come these guys aren't there? It's, longevity matters in this case too. You have to kind of associate that player with the team. So that's the Raptors. The Knicks, Walt Frazier. What a defense. People forget what a good defender he was. We talked about our all defensive team. I was like, how did I not pick Walt Frazier? Earl, the Pearl, Monroe, Allen Houston, Willis Reed, Patrick Ewing, Carmelo Anthony.
Yes, absolutely. Now, when I look at that, first of all, we'll start with the Toronto team. Now, I know a lot of you guys want to say, what about Damon Stoudemire? No, he did not have the impact. And Damon Stoudemire was awesome. Absolutely, he was.
Rookie of the year with the Raptors, but short tenure and wanted out. Yeah,
he did not have the impact that Kyle Lowry had on that organization. So he absolutely is at the top of the list. When I think about DeMar DeRozan, I don't think he was a better player than Vince Carter, but in terms of being a better Raptor, yes. He was a better Raptor. Now Vince might have had a bigger impact. I mean, I don't know nothing about Toronto before Vince Carter heads up there. I know
very few people outside of Toronto or Canada knew about Toronto and the Raptors before Vince Carter. He made basketball relevant in Canada. I always bring this example up. Kevin Durant's favorite player growing up and favorite team, Vince Carter and the Raptors. A guy from DC, that's his favorite team and player. Like, that's the impact he made.
I don't know anything. I don't know much about Toronto before Vince Carter shows up. So he turned me on to Toronto, right? So I can definitely appreciate him. Now, who was your other guy, Tone? Because Chris Bosh is definitely one of the best Raptors of all time, right? I'm definitely putting him up there. Now, it broke my heart when you traded Valanciunas.
Me too.
Because I still think if you don't trade him and he stays there, I still think y'all win it. I don't think it's a situation that you don't win.
That trade hurt me because not only did we give up Valanciunas, who I thought they still would have won the chip with, for long term, just think about it. Now he's really coming. He just in the last couple of years has come into his own. He would have been so nice on that team.
Yes.
And I think he could have done what Marc Gasol did, although you'd never seen him do it before. So I understand the move, but also in that trade, they gave up DeLon Wright, which is, I think he's like a 6'9" point guard. And I think that length would, look, they still won. So I'm nitpicking here, but I think that would have helped, especially because OG had to get his appendix out and they lost that defender. So they could have really used DeLon Wright. And also CJ Patterson. People forget about him. He was also moved in that trade. And he was really nice. Spot up in the corners, hit some threes. Like he could give you some good minutes.
Now,
I might have got his first name wrong, but Patterson definitely is his last name. And the other one too, who's not on this list, is Tracy McGrady, because his best years weren't in Toronto. Obviously, it was probably with the Magic was his best.
He played 3 years up there. What, 4? What did he play? 4 years up there?
Yeah, I think it was 3, 4. Because he's right out of high school, and he was first chance he got, he was back to Florida.
So I'm looking at this matchup, Tone, and I think where the hole is I think the hole is in the middle. I think whoever Toronto has, Ewing handles them, no matter who it is.
I'm with that.
I think absolutely Ewing handles them. I think that Kyle Lowry would have hell with Walt Frazier. I think Walt Frazier would absolutely. I'm not going to say dominate, but I think Walt Frazier handles Kyle Lowry. No question in my mind. I think he handles him. Now, where it gets tricky with the style of play here, because Walt Frazier was a transition player, right? Kyle Lowry's a transition player too, and that team that Toronto has, where they try to play fast with Kyle Lowry and Vince Carter and DeMar DeRozan, but then when the game slows down, and now we got to go into the post, now we got to start digging, and now we got to start getting stops. Who's going to get stops? Well, I like that Knicks team defensively. We're talking about an all-league defender in Ewing. We're talking about an all-league defender in Kyle Lowry, right? We're talking about big guys that basically man the paint and handle them. And I think that the Knicks would beat the Raptors. I'm not going to say handled. I'm not going to say serve them, but I think this could be a 7-game series, Tom. I definitely think this could be a 7-game series.
The interesting part is I don't disagree with you with the Frazier and Ewing over Lowry and Valanciunas 100%. I think Lowry and Frazier are closer than Valanciunas and Ewing are. I think Ewing is significantly better, especially when we're using not the Valanciunas of today. We're using the Raptor Valanciunas,
Right,
versus
young
Ewing.
guy.
My issue with this is that I agree with that, but when I look at the three in the middle, when I look at DeMar, Vince, and Bosh versus Monroe, Houston, and Reed, what you have in DeMar, Vince, and Bosh are three really athletic guys who will kill you. Vince Carter can shoot the three, will jump over you, will jump
literally.
He literally probably jump over Patrick Ewing.
Right.
DeMar DeRozan will kill you with his mid range. He was always good at that. Defense might be an issue. Chris Bosh can inside, outside. I think if this team gets out into transition, I think they win. I think you're right. Is where if they slow it down, yeah, the Knicks probably have them. I also think it's a 7-game series. We need to figure out how we're going to do the tiebreaker, because I'm going to go Raptors in 7. You're going to go Knicks in 7.
You know
what?
Think that. You know what, Tone? I'm gonna backtrack my 7-game series because I think Allen Houston outplays DeMar DeRozan. I do.
No,
I think he outplays him. Yeah, I do. I saw him put 51 on Kobe. I think he outplays him in a 7-game series. I do.
All right, let's add this. Each round, each one of us gets one veto because there's only be 4 games. Are you using your veto to take the Knicks over the Raptors?
It's a little early. No, I think it's too early to use my veto.
No, just what? There's only 2 more matchups. We might agree with the other ones.
No, not yet. I'm gonna stick with my pick. 7 games. I'll stick with my pick.
Vetoing. I'm hitting the gold buzzer. I'm going Raptors. Raptors make it on to the next round. Yes,
All
it's
right.
a homer pick. Too bad if you don't like it. All right, next matchup. We got the Nets versus the Heat. This is gonna be a nice matchup too. Let me give you the Nets lineup. Jason Kidd, Kerry Kittles, Keith Van Horn, Buck Williams, Brooke Lopez, and our guy. What's up? Shout out to Richard Jefferson coming as the 6th man for the Nets. For the Heat, we got Tim Hardaway, Dwayne Wade, Glenn Rice, Ronnie Cycli. I like Ronnie Cycli. Alonzo Mourning, and the different Chris Bosh. Now, keep in mind, you're going to say LeBron, only 4 years in the Heat. He's going to be a Cav. Just so you're wondering. So the older Chris Bosh, because he played more, I think he played 6 years, with the Heat. And
7, I think.
7, maybe 7 years with the Heat, yeah. So he's the older Chris Bosh makes it onto the Heat team.
So I'm looking at this Nets group, right? I'm looking at this Nets group. Jason Kidd at the 1. I think that matchup works. But I think that unit, Jason Kidd is the epitome of just turning groups around. Remember, Tony, when he got on that team, they had 27 wins the year before that, right? They in the NBA Finals the next year with the same group. Just take Marbury off that team, put Jason Kidd on that team. They in the NBA Finals.
He is like what Chris Paul is to teams. Excuse me, I'm adjusting my camera a little. My apologies. Whereas like he makes everyone he makes everyone around him better.
So when I look at that Nets team and I look at what Jason Kidd would do for them, not just offensively but defensively, because Jason Kidd is a 9-time All-League defender. Let's make sure we remember that. Jason Kidd was elite on both sides of the basketball. So to get that group up and down the floor, to have that group playing defense the way that they do, I think that they're a little. When I think about in the middle, I mean, who is the Nets 5-man? I'm trying to think about who the Nets.
Brooke Lopez, Buck Williams.
Yeah. Now I will tell you this, Tony. You know how I feel about Bam Adebayo. Buck Williams, that's Bam Adebayo, except the better athlete. That's exactly who that is. That's why I want to move Bam to the 4. That's a different conversation. But we brought up Buck Williams. But think Bam Adebayo. That's who Buck Williams is, except the better athlete. Now with him, Buck Williams running the floor the way he does, I think that they absolutely handle. I don't think that they beat these dudes. I think they handle them, Tone.
So you got the Nets over the Heat. I got to be honest. I don't like when I say the chemistry, I don't like the makeup of this Heat's team. Like I wish it was in a few years from now when I could add in Bam, add in Jimmy Butler. Unfortunately, they're not there yet where we can add them in. So I think it's a little bit closer. I think it's You say handle like 4 or 5 games. I'm thinking more like 5, 6.
I'm thinking 5 games, Tone, because I'm
Yeah.
looking at Jason Kidd and Tim Hardaway. I think he clearly outplays Tim Hardaway. No question in my mind. No doubt about it. I'm looking
Well,
at the
now
two guard.
Dwayne Wade, however, Dwayne Wade could be the X factor there because he could take over a series. Glenn Rice could shoot the
Yeah,
lights out.
keep the lights off the
But
basketball.
people also forget how good Keith Van Horn was. Like he was all about 6'10". He could do a lot. I was actually
Mhm.
I didn't have a lot of faith in Keith Van Horn, but we were watching him play. He's nice. So I'm gonna go with I think it'd be closer. I think it's more like a 6 game series, but I'm with the
Mhm.
Nets as well. So we got the Nets moving on to the next round.
Yep.
Who are the Nets gonna play? Are
Who
they
are the
gonna
next?
are they gonna play the Wizards or the Hornets? It's both. It's like Jordan's teams versus Jordan. It's the two Jordan matchup. So let me go through the lineup for them. So the Hornets/Bobcats
Mm-hmm.
will have Muggsy Bogues, Kemba Walker, Del Curry,
Mm-hmm.
Grandmama, Larry
Mm-hmm.
Johnson, Amika Okafor, Gerald Wallace.
Mm.
Was there a player more athletic than Gerald Wallace?
Nah, Jerry Wallace was a ridiculous athlete, no
Crazy.
doubt.
All right, they're going
No
up
doubt.
against the Wizards/Bullets, John Wall, Bradley Beal, Jeff Malone, Wes Unseld, that's your guy, Elvin Hayes,
There's my
and
guy.
Agent Zero, Gilbert
Now,
Arenas.
just so you know, Earl Pearl played for the Knicks. He played for the Bullets longer than he played for the Knicks.
Do you want to make a trade?
Yeah, I'm just saying, the Pearl. Not only did he play for the Bullets longer, I remember when Wes Unseld won the league MVP, and I mean he was fifth on the team in points, and he led the team in rebounding. And Earl was their leading scorer, and he didn't sniff the league MVP. So, and that was as a rookie. But just so folks at home know, Earl Pearl played longer for the
Yes.
Bullets than he did for
Dominic had to make some tough
yeah.
decisions, so I'm going to give him
Yeah.
the benefit of the doubt. He did all 30 teams. So,
He
but
did.
yes,
He
100%.
did play a little bit. He did play a little bit longer. But when I look at this Bullets team, right, and I look at Elvin Hayes, and I look at how dominant he was on the block, when I look at just this Wizards team as a whole, I would have to go with the Wizards.
Will this make a difference? I think I missed somebody. Let me go back and read the teams again.
Mm-hmm.
The Hornets Bobcats were Muggsy Bogues, Kemba Walker, Del Curry. Did I say that?
You did say Curry.
I did say Del Curry. Okay,
Yeah,
that's Steph. That's Steph.
Mm-hmm.
Steph's dad.
That's
Okay,
Steph's
Larry
dad,
Johnson
yeah.
and Miko. Okay, I want to make sure I said. So yeah, so I'm looking at these lineups, and listen, when you're 5 foot nothing, and you can play in the league for 10+ years like Muggsy Bogues did, you got to get some respect. That had nothing to do with era. That had to do with his ability, his drive, that's just nuts.
And not be
However,
a sideshow neither, Tone. Let's make sure that we clear about
like a
that.
legit
he wasn't
player.
a gimmick. Yeah, he was legit.
Yeah, I remember those Hornets teams when that kind of expansion team, when they had those, that teal uniform with the pinstripes, and it was Bogues, Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning. I think Kendall Gill was on that team. I love that Hornets team. All right. That being said, I think when you got a backcourt of Kemba and Bogues versus a Wall and Beal, that's just a matchup you're gonna lose. As much as I love Larry Johnson, I'm not a huge fan of Amika Okafor. So when I think of Hayes and Unseld, I'm just like, they've got this team beat almost in every aspect. I think it might be a 4-5. I think it might be a sweep.
I think they handle them in 5 games. No doubt about it. They handle them in 5 games.
All right. So Wizards
handle them dudes in 5 games.
Go 5. All right. So that's the East one. So we're done. So we had the Sixers and Hawks. We got the Sixers in 6. Raptors and Knicks. We got the Raptors in 7. That's my veto. Nets and Heat. The Nets in 6. Wizards and Hornets. We got the Wiz in 5. So the next round matchup is going to be Sixers and Raptors. That's going to be a blowout. Nets and the Wiz. But next episode, so on Friday, we're going to do part 1 of the West, which is going to be Thunder Suns, Sonics Thunder, Suns, Nuggets and Blazers, Jazz and Wolves, and we will talk about the bye, the team that gets the bye, which is the Lakers. I'll give you their starting 5, and then we're going to do East 2. You'll get the Celtics. I think could there be a harder 2? That's why they get the bye. Could it have been harder? Like Lakers and Celtics, how do you pick their top 5, 6? How do you pick the Lakers top
Well,
five? Like we're gonna,
well,
we're gonna. I'm sure we'll have some
we're
debates on those
definitely
two.
going to have this. We're definitely going to have a debate on that. But when I think about the best players that played for the Lakers, this is why when we had this conversation a while ago about how Kobe might not be a top five, because there are people that when you run down that list of the Lakers and the all-time greats, Tone, this is what the list looks like for other teams. This is what the list looks like for greats for the Lakers. This is exactly what it looks like.
Yeah.
Now you're going, wait a minute, hold on. What about this? Well, wait a minute, hold on. What about this guy? As opposed to when you got, I don't know, the Heat, where you only got a short list and you're going, okay, this guy, this guy, this guy. You got the Lakers list, it looks like this. You have the Celtics list, just go, well, wait a minute, man. I'm for example, I'm thinking about Paul Pierce. I'm having a hard time putting the dude as good as Paul Pierce.
How does he? Can Paul Pierce make it?
I'm as good as Paul Pierce is. I'm just having a hard time putting him in front of a dude who was a starter on a team that won 10 championships in a row, and he averaged 19 a game. And Sam Jones, I'm having a difficult time with that.
Jones, Russell, Bird, Havlicek, Hondo,
McHale,
like the six guys,
Russell,
like that. I didn't even say Russell.
You didn't even say Russ, Kuzi.
Yeah, that's that's the thing with those franchises. Whereas, the Grizzlies, they've only been around, and Raptors, they've only been around since '95.
Right.
You're gonna, it's gonna be.
Well, this is what that list. This is what that list looked like with them.
Yeah. All right. Whew. This will be a fun tournament. I like it so far. You got your veto. You saved it. I used it early. All right. So let's move to today's NBA.
Mm-hmm.
All NBA team. I wanna hear your, and I'll tell you mine. But first team, second team, third team.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the first team. Who do you got as your first team All NBA?
First team All NBA: Luka, DeMar DeRozan, James, Giannis, Embiid.
Hold on, I can't write that fast.
I'm sorry.
Luka, DeRozan, LeBron,
James, Giannis, Embiid.
and Embiid.
Mm-hmm.
Really, not Jokic. Interesting. Okay. I will say for me, I got Luka, LeBron, Giannis, but I have Ja and Jokic.
Mm-hmm. There was a stretch. Now I will admit, Tony, that there was a stretch where there wasn't a guard in the game playing better than Ja. He was playing better than any other guard in the game, and how dynamic he was and what he was doing, not just for Memphis but for that city. I just think about Luka and how awesome he's been the entire season.
Yeah, Luka's on for me too. All right, second team.
Now this is where it gets a little tricky, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
This is where it gets a little tricky because I'm having a difficult time with I'm thinking about a guy in Trae Young who he leads the league in overall points and he leads the league in assists. I cannot not have that dude on my All-NBA team. I cannot. But I can also not have Steph on my All-NBA team. I cannot not have Book on my All-NBA team. So this is where it gets tricky.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I think Trae Young and I think Book, Trae Young and Book.
Mm-hmm.
I forward Jason Tatum. My power forward, my two forwards are Jason Tatum and who am I thinking about? Siakam. I think Siakam is an All-NBA performer.
You got Siakam a second team?
I'm not going to say
this is second team.
Second team. I'm not going to say second team, Tone. I don't think he's a second team All-League performer. I think he's the third team All-League performer. Right. So again, I got Trae Young. Yeah. Trae Young, Book, Tatum, Joker as a second teamer. My four-man, I'm not sure who my other forward is, Tone. I'm really not sure because I'm thinking about the other forwards, because I think Jimmy Butler going to make the All-NBA team. I don't think he's a second-team All-League performer. No.
Are you missing someone?
I am missing somebody, and I'm trying to remember.
Could he play
who
in
exactly.
Brooklyn?
Yes, that's exactly who. I knew I was missing somebody. I'm thinking to myself, who am I missing? I'm missing somebody, and that other guy is KD. That's who I'm missing.
Okay, so go KD.
Yeah,
KD.
that's the guy that I was missing.
Yep. So you got Trae, Booker, Tatum, KD, Jokic as your second team. I have Steph, Book, Let me see that. We want to see what the difference is. Yes, book is the same. Tatum, KD, and then obviously I have Embiid because I had Jokic, Joker. I put Jokic and Joker together. I have them flipped on 1-2. So I'll do the third team, and then I'll just recap all three, and then I want to talk about it a little bit. So who do you got as your third team?
My third team. So I think the guards are Ja and Steph, right?
You got Ja third team. Okay.
I got Ja third. I'm having a difficult time putting him ahead of a guy who leads the league in overall assists and points. I'm having a difficult time with that. So let's see here. So again, I got Ja and Steph because I think Book played better than him this season. And at my forwards, I got Siakam. Who is my other forward? I forgot who my other forward is. And I will tell you this, Tone, and I think I'm going to surprise you here. The reason why Rudy Gobert has been on the All-NBA team for the years he's been on the All-NBA team is because Minnesota was whack. And I said that the minute Minnesota made the playoffs, Cat was going to make the All-NBA team. And this is the year he does it. This is the year it happens. And that other forward, it could be Bam, but I don't think that they're going to give Bam the benefit of the doubt.
I think actually DeMar is listed as a forward.
He's listed as a power forward, Tone. He ain't listed as a forward. He's listed as a power forward. Give me a break, man.
So you have him on your first team as a guard.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And this.
So you got one more. You got Ja, Steph. It doesn't matter. You got Ja, Steph, Siakam, and Cat. You got one more.
Yeah. And I'm missing a forward. I'm trying to remember who my other forward is, Tone. I'm drawing a blank here. I am. I'm absolutely drawing a blank. I don't know who that other forward is.
Jaylen Brown, maybe.
No.
Does he make it for you, Jimmy Butler? Or is he? Nah, I think because he could be a small forward / shooting guard.
I don't know if Jimmy Butler played enough this season.
Okay.
I don't know if Jimmy Butler played enough this season, but I think that if he did, he would make the All-NBA team. I'm a little in the dark about him. I'm absolutely in the dark.
Think about your last forward. I'll give you mine. So I've got Trey, Chris Paul, DeRozan, Siakam, and Cat. That's my third team.
Trey, Chris Paul, DeRozan,
yep, Siakam, and Cat.
I want to, and again, I don't want to put. I really don't want to put Cat on there because I think that Rudy, in terms of his impact, but I knew that soon as Minnesota made the playoffs, when they became good, I knew Cat's going to be an All-NBA performer. I just knew it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, so who do you want in there? There's Draymond Green. There's Bam. You want to make any changes to your other ones? Here, let me recap. Let me recap. So Jay's got Luka, DeRozan, LeBron, Giannis, and Embiid as his first team. I have Luka, Ja, LeBron, Giannis, and Jokic as my first team. Second team, Jay's got Trey, Book, Tatum, KD, and Jokic. I have Steph, Book, Tatum, KD, and Embiid. Third team, Jay has Ja, Steph, Siakam, and Cat, and we need one more. I've got Trey, Chris Paul, DeRozan, Siakam, Cat. Who's your 15th? Who's your 15th? Who's your 15th?
I'm trying to think of who my other forward is. Who is my other forward? I'm absolutely drawing a blank here.
All right, so let's talk about our differences. So on first team, you have DeRozan and I got Ja.
Yep.
You feel that DeRozan for the entirety of the season, you have him over Ja?
When I think the Bulls dropped the 5th in the East.
6th.
They're 6th in the East now, right? So up until maybe a month ago, Tone, what's today? A little weird. We're almost in the middle of April. Up until a month ago, the Bulls were in first place for almost the entire season in the Eastern Conference. And not only were they in first place, DeMar DeRozan was holding that team together with glue and tape. Levine was out the lineup. They had lost Pat Williams the entire season. Vooch was in and out of the lineup. Kobe White had just gotten back into the lineup, and he was their guy. And not only was he their guy, he was delivering. I think he's got the most buzzer beaters this season. I don't think anybody has more buzzer beaters this season. He led them in points. So when I look at what DeRozan did, and I'm thinking about the other guards in the game, I don't think that up until maybe a month ago, before they started to fall apart, nobody was playing that much better. Nobody was playing that much better than him. Ja had a stretch where he was playing where there wasn't a guard that was playing as good as him. But when I look at what DeRozan was doing for the entire season, I don't think that there was a guy who I could say at the guard spot played better than him.
Okay. I have. It's interesting. They were at first, and then they've dropped off. Whereas I look at the Grizzlies, where they were kind of middle of the pack, kind of I think fifth, sixth, and they've worked their way in, and they're second in the West, which I think the West is still a little bit better than the East, but not.
They got a damn good team, though, Tone. That Memphis team is not
a great team, and I think he's the best player on a damn good team. So that's why I give him a bit of a. And they've been able. I think he's been more consistent.
But he hasn't played that much, Tone. Not only has he missed a lot of games, they've been rolling with him out the lineup. That's the difference.
But I don't hold that against a player that his team steps up when they're gone. And I'll give you an example. The year the Raptors won the NBA title, Kawhi Leonard missed 22 games.
Right.
They went 17-5. So do we hold that against Kawhi and say, well, wow, that team was just great without him? No, they don't win that championship without him. He's still the best player on what would eventually be the best team.
But here's the difference with that, though, Tone. The difference with that, though, is when Leonard got on that team, they were already great. That's the difference with that unit. I mean, we're talking about a team that won 59 games the year before he got there. Yeah. So I'm not surprised that when he was out the lineup, they were still rolling. He just was the difference in them winning the whole thing.
So you feel you're surprised that the Grizzlies are good without Ja?
I'm not surprised that they're good. Actually, I am surprised that they're good without Ja.
Oh, you are? Oh, okay.
I am surprised that they're good without him, considering that he was supposed to be their man. Tone, but before the season started, who is Desmond Bane?
If Dylan doesn't get hurt, we probably still don't know who Desmond Bane is.
Right, exactly. who is that? We still got questions about Jaren Jackson before the season started because he missed the year before. So meanwhile, Jaren Jackson is going to be an all-league defender this year. Desmond Bane is 18 a game, right? We ain't talking about these guys nearly as much before the season starts as we do now. I think they 20-2 with Ja out the lineup. I mean, that's a big deal.
It is a big, yeah. Okay. I still listen. If I'm picking a team, I'm picking Ja over DeRozan, and that's why I did it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm picking a team, and that's what I'm doing. Embiid and Joker's close, though, right?
It's not like this. It's literally pick one.
Yeah,
it's literally pick one.
Yeah, I don't think we need to. That one, I feel like it could go either way. Heck, I think I feel like I've flipped them back and forth a couple of times too. The other one is you got Trey, I got Steph on second team.
Yeah, Well, the reason why I got Book is because, and the reason why I have Trey is, like I said, Tone. I mean, we talking about a dude that's almost 30-10 for the season, and I'm having a difficult time. I could go into the same thing that what DeRozan was doing in Chicago. That's what Trey doing with the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, he was basically, and to lose Collins the way he did, not only to lose Collins the way he did, for that team to just go up and down and to make midseason trades where they lose Cam Reddish, who I thought would have helped them tremendously, and for him to just continue to do what he was doing, to lead the league in overall points and assists at the point guard spot, which shouldn't be surprising because, Tone, I said this to you before, his game translated right from college because his first year at Oklahoma, not only did he lead the country in scoring, he led the country in assists too. So that's who this guy is. That's his game. So I'm having a difficult time with a guy whose overall production is better on the offensive side of the basketball than everybody else's.
Okay. The last one I want you, and then we're going to get to mail drop. The last one. So you don't have Chris Paul. Is it because he's missed time?
He missed 2 months, man. KD missed 2 months too. And KD missed 2 months too, Tone. And with KD missing 2 months,
but is there a player that's more valuable to their team than KD? Because you mentioned this to me. When KD's in the lineup, they were in first.
It was in first place.
KD goes out of the lineup, and now they're in the play-in tournament.
They're in the play-in tournament. I mean, if he don't get hurt, I think that we're talking about KD as the league MVP if he doesn't get hurt. No doubt about that. But now I think about Chris Paul, who ends up missing a month. Almost, he missed over a month, and then Phoenix is still at the top of the West.
And may I say, we were having conversations. People will forget this or they will lie. When he went out, we were like, "Oh, can the Suns hold on to that number 1 seed?"
They were still rolling
because Chris Paul, was going to be gone. They had no issues.
They had no issues.
In fact, I think Devin Booker has moved up most people's list because he did things that were like, "Oh, okay, he actually can still win without Chris Paul in the lineup," which I think is a testament to that Suns team.
If I were to take Chris Paul and put him in Trae Young's place, even though I think that Chris Paul is a better player than him, I'm just having a difficult time with what Trae Young did all season as opposed to what Chris Paul did and him missing time. Trae didn't miss any time.
Yeah.
He was playing the entire season. He didn't miss any time, and this is what he produced in the time that he played. So Chris Paul might be the odd man out on the All-NBA team, Tone. He might be.
Okay. Well, you still have a spot open.
I do. And I got to remember.
We might have to get back to you on it later.
Can't believe I drew a blank on that.
Well, while we do that, that's okay. Hey, man, it happens all the time. While we do that, let's jump into meal drop. First question, simple one. Play-in tournament. How's it going to roll out? Who are your picks? So let's go through first the matchups for the play-in tournament, because that's in case people don't have it handy. I will pull it up so we have it handy. So here we go. In the East, we have it's interesting. We talked about the play-in tournament, and a while back we were like, man, there's like 10 games separating, the 7th seed and the 10th seed, and how dumb. But in the East, you've got a 44-win Nets team, a 44-win Cavs team, a 43-win Atlanta team, and a 43-win Charlotte team. So one game separates 7 from 10. So the first matchup is going to be Brooklyn and Cleveland.
Now losing Jared Allen is going to be I think it's going to be detrimental to them. But I still look at Cleveland being a top 5 defense. This is an ultimate test for them. Tone, I hear a lot of times about people talking about, you talk about numbers and you talk about teams being here. If you're a top 5 defense, prove it. That's where I'm at with Cleveland. You're a top 5 defense, prove it. If they could keep Brooklyn in the mid to high 90s, maybe even the low 100s, I think they got a legit shot in winning this game. Tone, if this game is in the 120s, 125, no, I don't think so. I don't think that they can win it.
Well, you got to make a pick.
Oh, I'm going with Cleveland.
You're going with Cleveland.
I think Cleveland beats Brooklyn. I think that they hold them. I do.
Wow. I think you are going to see the best from Brooklyn that you've seen all season, because I feel like they want to play Boston instead of Miami. I don't know why I think that. I feel like that's the type of team that they're like, hey, we can, because don't forget, they're missing their man in the middle now, Boston.
Yep.
And that's where still one of the weaknesses of Brooklyn. And so I think that's like, hey, it's a better matchup. Like I like the Kyrie, KD versus Brown and Tatum matchup better than I think they want to stay away from Cleveland. I think I could be, or Miami, excuse me. I think. I also just think we're going to see something we've never seen before. I think we're going to see a 7th seed go on a run because now they're kind of all healthy. They're able to play. I think we're going to see a bit of a Brooklyn renaissance here. And KD in the playoffs.
I've said this to you, Tom, before. What did I say to you?
You keep telling me Brooklyn's fool's gold, and I keep buying it and taking it and hoping they're gonna eventually get a real nugget. So I'm gonna go with Brooklyn. So then let's go to the 9-10 matchup. You got Atlanta and Charlotte. Same.
Charlotte has,
but it's in Atlanta. Atlanta has the tiebreaker, so it's going to be in Atlanta.
As you know, the playoffs ended today. The playoffs start today. Charlotte has the worst defense in the game. They give up as many points as they score. So Atlanta is not that far behind them, but I think they got a better point guard. I think they're going to be better in transition. Charlotte is younger, but I think the difference with Charlotte is the same thing that it was last year, and it's the same difference with why Minnesota, and we're going to get to them, are better, and that is because of Gordon Hayward. If Gordon Hayward was in their lineup, that's 18 a game that they don't have, and that's a vet that they don't have that could just help them so much more. I think Atlanta beats them.
How many times are we going to say that team would be better if Gordon Hayward was? Look, Gordon Hayward's done.
We've been saying this for years, yo.
If he was he's not in the lineup. It was a horrific injury. He's never coming back. He's never going to be the same guy. I hate to say it because he was great in Utah, right? That's why he got that contract. But I think he's done. So I also look at when it's close, right? I look at a couple of things. Defense. Now, granted, it's still 2 points per game difference in points allowed, but still, it's 2 points is 2 points. And who's the player I like better? Like, who's the better player? Who do I trust more? I think it's Trae Young. So I got Atlanta winning that one as well. So now the matchup becomes, for me, Cleveland, Atlanta. For you, Brooklyn, Atlanta. So I'll start with you. Brooklyn, Atlanta. Who gets the 8th seed?
Whoa. I said Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland won. So they're the 7th seed.
Right. Cleveland is the 7th seed.
Yeah, Cleveland won. So they're the 7th seed. So now you got, so the next play-in tournament game is Brooklyn, Atlanta. The one loser against the one winner. Who gets the 8th seed? Don't tell me the Nets are out of the playoffs.
Hey, Tone.
Don't tell me the Nets are out of the playoffs.
I could tell you that because I'm thinking about, the Lakers are out. So let's make it official that Brooklyn's out too. But I don't think that's happening. I don't think Brooklyn.
I dare you. They don't lose 2 in a row. Brooklyn does not lose 2 in a row.
They don't. They don't lose 2 in a row, Tone. I think that they beat Atlanta. I do. I think that they beat Atlanta simply because when you get to this stretch right here, you know what, Tone? I'm doing it. Brooklyn isn't making the playoffs.
Brooklyn's out. So Brooklyn loses. Brooklyn loses to Cleveland. Brooklyn loses to Atlanta, and they are out.
I think
the playoffs looking in.
I think they out. I think they're
all right.
outside.
I've got them winning and in the 7th seed. So my matchup is Cleveland, Atlanta, and Cleveland is going to be out. Atlanta's going to get the 8th seed, and Cleveland's going to look at a great season for a young team and be like, man, we were the 5th seed, and we dropped so far that we're out of the playoffs. Gives them something for next season.
2nd seed at one point. Cleveland,
right? There was a time when they were absolutely. So
Brooklyn can't stop anybody, Tone. And I can appreciate what happens
but no one can stop them either.
Yeah, so here's what you can do. You can outscore teams in the regular season. You cannot outscore teams in the playoffs. It's not going to work. Eventually, it's going to catch up with you.
In a playoff series, I agree with you. But in this one game, right, if it was out of 5, I might have had a different pick. But because it's one game, I think they can just get hot and steamroll anybody in one game. All right, so I got Brooklyn as the 7th seed, Atlanta as the 8. You have Cleveland as the 7, Atlanta as the 8, and the Nets.
I think Brooklyn's out
of the playoffs. All right, here we go. In the West.
And I'm not a Brooklyn hater, by the way. I just think that I'm going off what I've seen all season with these dudes. I think they're fool's gold. I do.
In the West, things are a little bit different. This is the part that I hate about the play-in tournament. The play-in tournament, it should only be like if you're within 4 games. Like, I don't like it at all. But if you're going to do it, if you're within, because you've got a 46-win Minnesota team, a 42-win Clipper team, a 36-win New Orleans team, and a 34. This team is 14 games under 500.
Come on, man. These are not playoff teams, Tone. They not, man.
14 games under 500.
Not a playoff team, yo. They not.
They're 12 they're 12 games back of Minnesota.
Man.
And if things go poorly, they could be in the playoffs. So Minnesota's going to play the Clippers, who, with Paul George back in the lineup, they've won 5 in a row to end the season. Minnesota or the Paper Clips? Who you got?
The way Reggie Jackson's been playing, the way Kennard's been shooting the basketball, the way Zubac's been running the floor, I really like what the Clippers are doing. But the difference, and I said this before, Tone, getting D'Angelo Russell in that lineup and getting him healthy, he makes them a legit playoff team. Absolutely. He gives them the dynamic that they didn't have last year. He gives them that floor spacer. He gives them that playmaker. He gives them that distributor. He gives them that scorer that they didn't have last year. I think that they beat the Clippers.
I think they beat the Clippers, but I think there's a guy on that team who doesn't know he's supposed to be nervous. And I think we start to see this, who I think is the next kind of budding superstar in Anthony Edwards. I think we see that start to look. He's going to have some bad games. I guarantee he's going to have some. But I think this where it's one win and you're in, right? I think we see a huge game from Anthony Edwards, and I'm also with Minnesota winning that game. Then we got New Orleans. Man, if New Orleans had everybody healthy, meaning Zion, that'd be a pretty nice team.
Well, when you take 26, when you take 26 and 6 on 60% shooting out the lineup, you're going to be significantly worse. That's just going to happen. No matter what kind of team you are, you're just going to be significantly worse. Now, when I look at this team, I think that Willie Green has done a good job with this team, considering what they had. Losing Lonzo Ball, losing Zion. But Tone, me and you had this conversation, and I say it ad nauseum. When you are, this is not a playoff team in New Orleans. This is not a playoff team in San Antonio. And DeJounte Murray is the most improved player in the game, I think. But these two teams are not playoff teams. They're not. And the fact that Minnesota and the Clippers should even be worried about guys that are, if I'm not mistaken, Minnesota, I think they 12 games in front of New Orleans and 14 games in front of San Antonio. Give me a break.
10, but I think 10 in front of New Orleans, 12 in front of San Antonio. Yeah.
10.
In
10
fact,
games.
San Antonio is closer to the 14th Oklahoma City Thunder than they are to the 7th Minnesota Timberwolves. It's actually only one game difference between where San Antonio is to Minnesota versus San Antonio to Houston.
What I'm talking about, man, this is nuts, right? This is exactly what I'm talking about. I think San Antonio. I think that they beat New Orleans. I do. I think that they beat New Orleans, and I think that the Clippers beat San Antonio, and they get the 8th spot.
I got it flipped. I think New Orleans beat San Antonio, but then the Clippers beat New Orleans. So thankfully, but you never know. This is why they play the games. I think Minnesota stays at the 7th seed where they are. The Clippers stay at the 8th seed where they are, which I'll tell you where they don't want to be. Like, I don't think anybody wants to play Phoenix in the first round. Minnesota, I don't think Minnesota wants to play Memphis in the first round either, but maybe it doesn't matter where they finish 7 or 8 because they're facing Phoenix and Memphis. You might be done anyways. All right, so just to recap, I've got Minnesota beating the Clippers, keeping the 7th seed, and then the Clippers beating New Orleans to keep the 8th seed. You have Minnesota winning, keeping the 7th seed, and then the Clippers beating San Antonio to keep the 8th seed. All right. Whew. On Friday, we're going to do one versus 6. No, one versus, excuse me. Yeah, what? No, Jesus. We're gonna do them all. 1, 8, 2, 6, based on the picks that we made today. Actually, when are the games? Might actually
starts this weekend, Sunday.
Yeah, okay. We won't have the winners in yet for Friday, but next week we'll give you those ones too. All right. Last question. Here we go for mail drop. This is from Sweden. We're international. Do refs let players play more in the playoffs? And does it help defensive teams like the Cavs, the Raptors, etc.?
Well, guys get officiated definitely. They get officiated differently in the playoffs, no doubt about that. And simply because for viewership, not just for viewership, for the games and how important they are. Now, that doesn't mean that the referees are cheating or anything like that, but guys do get officiated differently. You might let things play in January. You might let things play in the playoffs that you might not let things go in January. And the reason why is because you got different refs. You got the best refs in the game refereeing in the playoffs. So they'll let things play out differently in the playoffs than they do in the regular season. And I think that that's simply because the game is just different. I think that the game is different, and with the game being different, the officiating is different.
I think it's a very complicated answer because you mentioned it. One, and I'm not saying there's bad refs, but there are refs that are better than others. And just like the teams in the playoffs, you're eliminating the bad teams that had bad seasons, and it's the best of the best. It's the better teams playing. So you're going to get better basketball in theory. Well, you're also getting the best refs. So you're going to get it officiated better because it's the best refs working together. So in theory, you're going to get it officiated better. We've already talked about the game in the playoffs slows down. Well, as a ref, I've refed, you've refed. When the game's slower, it's also easier to officiate because what's the biggest issue when you're refing? The game is so fast, it's hard to catch everything. When it's slower, you're able to see more. So it gets officiated better. So does it help certain defensive teams because they're not calling things as tightly? To a certain extent, I would say yes. The other part is, as a ref, I'm going to be maybe a little less likely to put someone into foul trouble, to give them a tech, because I know it's the playoffs and there's no tomorrow. There's no other, 80 more games. There's today. The flip side of that is, however, the refs are still human beings. They're still going to make mistakes. They still have even subconscious biases for certain cities, for certain teams, for certain players. They just do, right? We talk about it all the time. Oh, when he gets a few more years under him, he'll get those superstar calls. I hate that, by the way. But there are certain players that, if it was somebody else, it would have been a foul. If it was somebody else, they wouldn't have called the foul. Like, that still exists, even if subconscious. So I think, to answer the question, does it help like a team like this? The example is the Raptors. I think no, because they're not a team that typically gets the benefit of the doubt. But I don't think it hurts them either. I think it will be better officiated, but I guarantee you, we're going to watch games and be like, oh my God, that was the worst. Especially fans of a team. That was the worst game ever. It was us against the team and the refs. You're still going to get that, but I think it'll be officiated better. Is it different? It is different. They let you get away typically with a little bit more in the playoffs, but I think it's because of all those reasons I mentioned. All right. On Friday, we've got conspiracy. Oh, it's a good one. That's a good one. Tune in. Like, tune in all the time, but tune in on Friday. It's a good conspiracy. We got 5 big questions from the NBA. We're going to do the West 1 for our all-time tournament. We're going to make our picks for 3, 6, 4, 5 is what the picks we're going to make. And we'll see. We might have some other surprises for you too. But until then,
take it light, but take it.